Welcome back to Daeyuk. That's 6 in Korean. Look at me, I'm multicultural.
5 seconds ago.
Welcome back, everyone, to Champions Soul. It's time for our second match of the day. It's G2 Esports taking on Edwards Gaming, who look to become the second BCT China team to make it to the playoffs today. Of course, Golden Boy here alongside Paper Thin and Achilleos. And what the hell just happened?
Look, it's insane. I mean, Trace, I had said before, like that, you know, them taking down Vitality, that could end up being one of the biggest upsets of the tournament.
Yeah.
It's been usurped immediately. That was an incredibly dominant performance.
Well, they did it again.
On the Ascent. Yeah. Coming out of that map 1, I said Feng really, absolutely, utterly destroyed Lev. If you spell that out all out, it spells fraud.
Oh, you're calling it back. You're so proud of yourself with that.
Set it up in the first act and we'll close it out in the third.
You bum. Paper Thin, though, man. Seriously, before we move on, I mean, this Trace team, I love them. I'm a fan. This is it. Buy me a jersey, buy the bundle. What we got to do to support these boys?
What else do you want? They played amazing today.
Yeah.
Top to bottom, they look really, really good. Yeah, Sunset's still a weak point, but that's okay because the rest of their maps, Bind and Ascent, look phenomenal. Yeah. They are absolutely a team to be feared.
And they didn't just look phenomenal. They crushed them. They flattened them.
Yeah.
Like, unreal stuff. I just, again, Trace Esports, I wasn't familiar with your game, papas. I'm so sorry, okay? Pero now, I'm on your side, all right? Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to their compatriots on the other side of that. They're going to be taking on G2 Esports. Got EDG going up against G2. We'll start with G2 first, though, because G2 coming out of this one, when we saw G2 versus Paper X, we were all stoked, Paper Thin. We were all excited. But G2 Esports, it was business, and they took care of it with a 2-0.
And it was business time for sure, and they are really in form right now.
They had their business socks on.
They did. The suit, the tie.
The whole kit caboodle.
There you go. All right,
I love you, man.
I do too, man. No, I just, they're such a fundamentally strong team right now. They're so well prepared for all of their matches. They play off of each other very nicely. They come into all of their games with great ideas. Josh is a great coach. I mean, top to bottom, I am so impressed with G2 this year.
Yeah, it really does feel like this G2 team, Seth, can, find those layers. And if they do it here at Champions, it could be dangerous.
Oh, no, for sure. I mean, this is, I think, the squad to be feared because they just have such a solid read. Valen has been an incredible IGL since he started playing the game, basically. Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, this team is incredibly gifted. We saw in the, the bumper coming into today, our nice little pre-roll video, they're saying, yeah, we see your playstyle, EDG. Yeah. Our playstyle counters yours.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, we'll see how this plays out, though. But let's check in with the professor and get a lesson for today. It's Jonah P, standing by with the Insu.
I'm now standing by with one of the tournament favorites. It is Jonah P from G2. Now, I think the hype is real. You even have the doubters believing at this point that you guys can do this. So I wanted to ask you, what makes you guys so scary, so good? What is it that is setting you apart right now?
The way I think about it is like no team wants to play us because of our playstyle. Everyone's very aggressive and we capitalize on that. So I think we have the best best discipline compared to all the teams. So I think that that little thing makes us different from everyone else.
Well, I can't wait to see you on the server today. Good luck.
If there is a word that you can associate with G2 Esports, it 100% is discipline because they exude it every single time. In fact, Paper Thin, I know you have a round that you wanted to break down for us on this. What you got?
I've got round 17 on Icebox versus Paper X. And so there's a lot of interesting stuff going on here. So first of all, I want to highlight what the situation is coming into. This is just coming off the back of Leaf's 4K on the Eco, where he snuck up behind. Now, they're in a really good situation here with their ults. Oops, wrong button. That's okay, though.
Seth cursed you,
by the
way.
He did curse me. He does this to me all the time.
He said, don't screw it up.
All right, so for real, 3 ults, 1 away for the side of G2. Plus, they're going to opt into an outlaw here because they know that Paper X economy is not good. There's a great reason for that. Leaf also very good with it. But let's start the round. And immediately, I want your eyes to go to the mini-map and look what they ping out. The orb. They're going to prioritize the Reckoning here for Valen. Okay, that's the first ult in this equation. Then, they're going to wrap around. We're going to speed up a little bit here. And you're going to see, they're going to come from the back. Now, you've got the Outlaw, and you've got the util from the Sova to delay here to buy a little bit of extra time. Now, pause. There's going to be a wall that comes up, that's to kind of fake a little bit.
Yeah.
And they're going to anticipate Paper X's reaction. Paper X wants to not have happen what happened in the last round.
Yeah, they don't want that backstab.
They don't want that, so they're going to send some players down themselves. So let's take a look. And they're going to send, first up is going to be Forsaken, and he's going to come around the corner. They're ready for this. Gecko Util, boom, he's done. The Reckoning is already out, and it is going to spot something. He is stuck in the corner. They're going to use Gecko Utility as well. That's a kill for Icy. That is the Thrash online, one of those 3 ults I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And they knew coming into this as well that there was an ult for Mind Freak here, right? You have the, yep. You have the Viper's ult, and they are very ready for this. They have so many answers to this, whether it's Leaf getting a kill, he gets the lockdown. If you get the Harbor ult, that's a counter to the Viper's pit. You have the Thrash, that's a counter to the Viper's pit. You have everything you need here to clean out the rest of the round. From the start to the finish, they have this round read like a book. They have Paper X's number the whole way through.
Yeah,
insane preparation.
It's wild because, you know, it's not just the prep too, it's also their mid-rounding. They're so aware of everything. It's almost as if Valorant just has everything in his head and he's thinking about everything in a 3D plane, Achilles. Like, the guy is he's like a walking GPS, it feels like at times.
I think he does exactly that. I think he just goes into his mind palace and then he's able to just see through walls and everything like that and just download and just recollect things from team's previous series. It's been incredible performances from Valorant as the IGL, but I mean, Leaf is also nothing to shake a stick at.
And that is something that, Paper, that you were talking about in that telestrator there, that the round prior was Leaf having massive impact here. And well, I mean, quite frankly, Leaf has massive impact all the time because he's just such, he always finds those openings, those gaps. He did it as a duelist and he does it as a Sentinel even better.
He's so reliable.
Yeah, he is. He's absolutely incredible. And when we think back to Shanghai, I think about him playing Breeze, those lurks that he was able to come up with.
Yeah.
It was insane how many multi-kill rounds Leaf was able to come away with. And when G2 were starting to kind of get ground down, slowing down their performances, is because we weren't seeing that same impact for Leaf because teams were starting to get a read on his tendencies. But he's looking very much reinvigorated here.
Yeah, that's right. And let's not forget, this is not the first time that Leaf has come to a Champs event. It was actually here in 2021. His hair was quite long at that time. But thankfully, he found a pair of scissors and he went right to work.
What team was that? What team was he on?
I believe that was...
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Are they?
I don't know who they are.
Well, yeah, are they around?
I actually couldn't see because I'm blind.
It was Cloud9.
It was Cloud9.
Okay. I couldn't tell. You
I
gotta help
remember
me
that
out.
team because of Zeta, but
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zeta, we love you, buddy. But yeah, he has been here before, so he is no stranger to that stage. The guy has popped off time and time again. But let's go ahead now and turn our attention to the other side of the field. Let's talk about Chichu here because he's going to be speaking about bouncing back after Master Shanghai, a massive event that for EDG's team's history in this Omen player moment.
Hello， 大家好，我是 EDG 的基主。我觉得很不容易吧，因为我们变了阵，然后现在能打成这样，我觉得很不错吧。然后也是我们换阵过后的一些效果，我们也看到了。然后我们希望我们后续能做得更好，然后去突破吧。其实怎么说呢，我们现在其实在心态上面应该是没有负担的，因为毕竟我们也经历过5杠26这东西过，我们的整体来说是每拿多1分，其实对我们来说都是好的一个过程吧。所以说我们现在就是更加放得开了，因为毕竟已经更烂的已经出现了，不可能我们还会打得比之前那个还烂。对，所以我们现在会放得更开。
Molly's all going to be used in conjunction on one another, and with the rifle aim in hand, it's the only thing that could steady the course. EDG got to put a stop to this. Uncertainty here still. Kang rattling the bars.
也很感谢观众对我们的喜爱吧，跟支持，我们也会去更加完善我们自我的一些技战术吧，然后去打出更好的比赛。因为我们经历了低谷，然后还能喜欢我们，我觉得大家都很不容易吧。我也希望我们整个 EDG 不会辜负你们的希望，然后也能不辜负整个 CN 瓦，去打得更好吧。我希望你们的加油会让我们的手感更加火热。
And after I had mentioned before, right, that Shanghai was a massive, you know, like a hole in EDG's team history. A team that's only ever been on the up and up, but they experienced utter defeat in their homeland. And they're now trying to bounce back here, Paperthin. They're trying to find that mojo again that they had when we were first introduced to this team.
Yeah, and that's why they made changes after Shanghai. They talked about how they needed a reset in a bunch of different ways. You bring in Simon, you change the coach, and all of a sudden, you know, EDG still doing what they do regionally, sure, they're winning, that's great, but now they come in internationally and they smash foot. And it's on the back of these two controller players who have been really, really special for them. Chi-Chu and Smoggy, absolutely incredible. Obviously, everybody knows Kong Kong.
Yes.
He's always nuts. He's a very, very good player, but it's some of the other players now that are starting to step up behind him and really start to take over these games to assist him in his role.
Yeah, and is that like going to be the thing here? Because the thing was, everyone was talking about EDG and Foot was a bit of a muddy game. Yeah. Does EDG drag G2 into the mud with them?
I think that this is going to be difficult. I think that EDG does have they certainly have the firepower to contend with everybody that's there on the other side of the stage. My biggest concern is going to be how does the IGLing look for them going up against Valorant? Because you have somebody who's very recently been taking up that role and piloted the team to good success. They've maintained their position at the top of VCT China, but Valorant has so much veterancy. Does this end up being a Mako v Boaster type situation here, or will this time the veteran IGL be able to win out?
I mean, who do you got again, Paperton, on this one?
I have G2. I think they don't fall into the mud.
I mean, I took a punt with EDG, but we were all wrong about the first series too, so.
All right, well, let's go ahead and see how this all shakes out. We got G2 Esports about to take on EDG. Let's head out to the stage and meet our teams.
G2. Edward Gaming.
Can history repeat itself? Can a VCT China team defeat a VCT Americas team? We just saw Trace Esports do the unthinkable against Leviathan. The question on everyone's mind is, can Kong Kong and EDG manage to pull one through and dethrone and take the G2 boys off their pedestal here? But we got our series layout as well.
We do, and I think that this is going to be a little bit of an inverse compared to that Trace series. They said, we don't really rely on hero plays, we don't rely on individuals, we rely on our teamwork. I feel like for EDG to come out on top of this one, it might have to come down to some of those hero plays for Kong Kong to have these fantastic moments to break through the lines of G2.
Yeah, you're just going to have to find a way to keep G2 off balance, to get them to start having their protocols fall apart. That's something that's been very, very difficult for most teams to do this year. G2 is a well-oiled machine. It's going to be getting through those structures, finding cracks in the defense that G2 has let very few teams through.
Yeah, and that is going to be a challenge. I think it is quite fascinating, though, right? Like, we have been really pushing about the individuals and what they bring to the table here, but as we just saw with Trace, teamwork does, in fact, make the dream work. So maybe that will be the recipe for success that G2 can continuously lean on, because that has been their whole MO throughout the entirety of the Americas season, Achilleos.
Now, it really has been, and right now, I think they're looking absolutely red hot. Taking down Paper Rex, they were dismantling them. They were having solid ideas and understandings of exactly what Paper Rex... And that's a team with
all the individuals.
Yes, yeah. But they were able to go ahead and pick things apart moment after moment. This is going to be a tough one here for EDG, but if they can hit those highs that we have seen from them in the past, I think they're absolutely capable of dealing with G2. It feels like they're on the up and up, and right now we can see a bit of a pivot compared to the last time that they played on Icebox, as Simon's going to be there on that KO.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of, what other initiator do you want to go with? Which initiator do you want to...
Flashinator.
I like Flashinator. Flashinator, hey, that's good.
I like it.
Yeah, no. But, you know, Gecko or KO seems to be what most teams want to run with. And we already know what G2 does. The Harbor here, Valent's Harbor, really, really impactful. He's not just a fragger. He's so smart with the way he uses utility, the way he's going to set up those cascades and high tides to allow for their retake play. They're so patient. The one thing that makes G2 so difficult to go up against is they know when to fight and they know when not to. That is something that a lot of teams don't do well with.
Well, let's see how this all plays out and get ready for this one. We got your Cashin on standby. It's Sideshow and Brand's tragic hairline.
That's insanely out of pocket.
An insane thing to write in
also,
the prompter.
Imagine saying you have the tragic hairline of the two of us. What's going on there?
Yeah, and I missed the memo. St. Patrick's Day was a few months ago. But we're going to get into the action soon enough. G2 versus EDG. And listen, there's a couple of things you can go into this match talking about. One of them, though, much more important, given the fact that we just witnessed a massive upset in the form of Trace beating Leviathan. And it's that spotlight. EDG is that powerhouse China #1 seed. They're used to that kind of attention being settled on them. They're used to all of that expectation as well, and the fact that they had that poor Shanghai performance and needed a return of it. But to be honest, at this point, they're losing steam, and the rest of China is catching up and maybe even beating them out in terms of overall placements.
We'll have to see during this match.
Yeah.
If they can get a win here, that would certainly put the attention back on EDG as the team to lead this Chinese region forward. But you're right, they're doing it by committee at the moment, which is even more brilliant to watch.
An app like Icebox to kick things off. Here's G2's playground. They are absolutely stellar from beginning to end, usually. In terms of the calling, the desk was mentioning the word mud quite a lot, which I do appreciate. Don't think we're going to see much of it here. Shots rattled by Leaf. He's going to be giving them a lot of space there, playing for his own life. Simon with the plan, left to push it back. We're going into the post line here. Kangan wants to get aggressive and will be rewarded. That's 2 players plucked out of the picture. Maybe a few more where that came from. He's eager for it, but Leaf, you don't want to test to this guy because he will challenge. Standing tall. This guy has already done the damage and has fallen to pieces before their very eyes. EDG, it's Smoggy forced to back away here, still with a plan down, time ticking. Leaf, not too many options left for him. Has to stick this one just for the win cons to happen. A defuse, sticking it all away. Slow body bullet tag, but the final one will do it. Straight to the chest of one singular Leaf. And so a pistol round earned up here for EDG. Great beginning.
And a great performance from 2 players to keep your eyes on throughout this entire match. Kang to open up. Gets double-faced or at least traded, or an attempt to trade, I should say, from Valin. Instantly a response from Leaf, being able to pick up 3 on his own. So great individual performances from both of those players. I think Kang's going to need to try to take moves like that, where he fights in, knowing that G2 are going to be double-swinging him or trying to trade him. He has to try to outskill G2 today if they want a chance at winning this. The whole of EDG does. Because we talk about it so often, but this G2 team, they are so disciplined.
Yeah.
You know you're not going to be able to catch individuals on their own too often. They're going to be trying to set up these team plays. And I don't think that's the area that EDG should try to fight on, having better teamwork than G2. They want to lean into their strengths, which is the individualism, the brilliance that they can pull out at times.
If they can drag teams into that tempo and play style even better. The trouble is, G2 not really privy to it. They don't particularly like to opt into it.
No, they are an extremely slow-paced team, especially once the side swap and G2 get onto the attack side. But you can see here, for example, no G2 players on the defensive A contesting these angles. They allow EDG a lot of space.
Really going to be trying to lean onto the retakes, I think, for most of this map, at least for this half.
Thing is, though, if you play retake all the time, EDG are going to get an idea of that, and then they're just going to start vacuuming up space without using too much utility. They're going to have it all for post-plant. Kankan's going to be on aggressive angles. You know, at some point you do need to mix things up and go for contests, tuck somebody into pipes, strats like this.
Now, this is getting a little bit messy, but at the end of the day, it is cleaned up with 4 players surviving, so EDG will be happy with that one. Keep it moving. On forwards now into the bonus, a bit of extra weaponry.
And some good players with some good ult points there as well. Getting closer to Simon and Chishu's ultimates, who are the best ults to have online for your attack side on Icebox. Now we get to see what G2 are doing with an economy advantage. This is one of the rounds where you might expect them to play a little more aggressive. You know, we talk about G2 playing slowly, but that doesn't mean that they're completely passive all the time. They do have aggression. They do like to contest, tuck people into nest, fight over B green, for example.
Deep tap over there. Not too sure if the orb got grabbed.
I don't believe so.
No, it's
still there. Just trying to see whether Nobody and Smoggy are going to sync up that utility combo that we see from a lot of teams on their attack side. Notice as well that Chichu is not using Nanoswarm to deny pipes, but Trent might get overwhelmed.
Yep, might indeed. Underhanded flash as well, straight through and out. Nobody wants to take that point and contact, and his body's dropping on either direction still. 2 left to stand here for G2. EDG with that player advantage. Massively so, in fact, now left down to just Jonah P. This is an EDG fully powered up, fully empowered. A bonus round win. That's 3 in a round now.
That's a fantastic beginning for EDG. They used very little utility there. Like I said, no shock molly combo to deny Alt Orb. They used the knife over towards pipes, but they also didn't use a Nanoswarm to deny space. They're not using util on A already in round 3 because they've got the read that G2 are going to be sat back a little further. This time there was a bit of a brawler scrap on site, but you could just tell from the position that Trent used his drone. He had no clue that EDG were pushed up that far. He thought they were still sitting back waiting to exec. Valen likes to get the read of teams throughout a series. Sometimes G2 will be a bit slow off the blocks or download their opponent as the games go on, sometimes from map to map.
I'd agree with that point. They tend to take a bit of time as well, like you said, to download the opponents and make the necessary reads. It was becoming a bit of a chore, honestly, watching them in Americas. They drop the first map and then just go on to rinse by the time they got to the 3rd.
But what that means is, if you're a team like EDG looking to secure another massive win for China here today, it's about trying to punish them when they're in that warming up phase, when they're gearing up. You want to get as many rounds on the board as early as you possibly can, so that comeback becomes impossible.
EDG's be ensuring to take this one slowly, steadily. Orb in front of them too, plenty of players close to ults. One of the benefits of getting off to the start, bit of snowball onto their own attack side as well. You have some big ults to utilize, which Simon's going to be letting loose and letting rip right now with a no command, at least to get a bit of safety down onto the site. Nobody wants to get this plant down. It will be defended.
Simple cleanup.
Yeah.
But a pretty big ult expenditure. It's one that Simon would love to have for the next round. Perhaps a little worried about time pressure there. But they've kept things very, very clean apart from that no command usage. Coming into round 5 here, where they'll have a pit, no real ults to be able to get into the sites. But to be honest, with the way that G2 are currently playing, EDG are just kind of waltzing on in there.
Not too much of the early fighting, as we've already mentioned. At least when we've seen it drift over towards the A site. We'll see though, G2 also coming up close to a couple of ults of their own, big ones in fact. 2 from the lockdown, Reckoning, Thrash 1 away. Kill could put that onto the board, but G2 have got to start, I think, pressuring at least that they're fighting over A early. Again, the knife just tagging onto the 2 of them. Pair of players, Valen and Icy. Ordered back, pushed away. And Jonah P is going walkabouts here with a wall in his face as 2 players side by side. Again, a game of time, and G2 are they going to be capturing it, looking completely in the wrong direction.
No response there to the audio cue of the wall falling. They're already pushed up too far. Leaf falls as well.
My.
It's open season. EDG looking like this one is far too easy for them. Simple stuff. These first 5 rounds that we've watched, I mean, look at this.
Yeah, okay.
Kankan making a bit of a fool there, making Icy dance and taking the pick. Valen's the final one to pick up the pieces, and it's as likely as anything that he'll take a bullet and have his ult for the next round. A 1v5 here. It's just not doable.
No, it's impossible. Got to keep the rifle, but already spotted out, noted, and he's going to be swarmed. Won't be able to carry that one into the next. Another flawless one, 5 alive, this time on a gun round. EDG have a tremendous amount of momentum behind them now.
Remember that EDG have been sat kind of in the back of champions today, watching their compatriots destroy teams that other people are suggesting favorites for the tournament.
Oh, yeah.
They don't know if it's going to go 2 maps, 3 maps. They have to be ready. They're sat there backstage waiting to go on, thinking obviously about the game coming up, but also watching the match, realizing wait a second, our region is doing extremely well today. And if that didn't give them enough confidence, how about a 5-0 start against G2?
On Icebox, nevertheless. I mean, it's a map that G2, as you said, mainly on the attack side, the calling of Valen. He'll be running rings around teams, he'll be calling perfection, the ults in terms of how they sync it up. It's all being worked to a masterpiece, but they're not on that side yet. They're on the defense, and they are struggling, hence the timeout that's being called. Adjustments have to be made. They thought that they maybe have come to terms with it, but, I mean, G2 just losing track.
I think in that previous round, G2 making a hard read that when the knife and the recon came in over towards A, Valen, he's thinking about going for the ult orb. He backs off and he's thinking, all right, this is similar to what I've seen before. This is EDG contacting in behind this utility onto A. And in fact, completely wrong read. EDG mix it up, drop the wall on B and get a couple of picks.
Yeah.
Just for people who haven't been aware of both of these teams, if you haven't been following them in their regional leagues, I thought from watching EDG, now they don't think this because they don't permaban it, but I thought Icebox was their worst map that they play. So for them to be 5-0 up right now, looking really prepped and running rings around Valen's understanding of what's coming at him, pretty fantastic stuff.
Bodes well, definitely bodes well. And another pause. I see the timer frozen.
Yeah.
That strikes fear into my heart, Josh. That strikes, especially when you don't see the timeout.
We had a lot of very late hit rounds in our first series of the day. It's already the time ticking. We could be down for a very long one today.
Been here a few hours already.
Yeah, buckle in, get some snacks. G2 on the attack side are going to be slow as well.
I was
and
waiting
here it is.
for it.
Confirmation.
God, Pansy lands in Korea and this happens. Okay.
And this will give more time for Valen to be thinking about things. But also, when you've just come out of attack timeout and there's ideas that you want to implement, that's frustrating.
Yeah, definitely is. Gives them a bit more time, though, to think it through. We'll see, find out a bit more information in terms of what exactly is going wrong.
Yeah, and it looks like we're going to be back in the game fairly shortly as well. The timer's already ticking. We're into this next round of Icebox. So very small tech pause, nothing to be too concerned about. G2 trying to make sure here that they get good info on A, tucking Valen into Nest.
It's a bit of a bluster, isn't it? 4 of their players looking to try and fight this one. Waiting a bit of time out here with a Dizzy and the Dart. Only the one connection. They know that they've got acknowledgement that there's an EDG player at least around, but they don't know how many. And the slow pace that EDG are applying right now is making G2 just sweat a little bit more. Valen even going for a couple of peeks here, but he's missed. Oh, no, not quite. It's nobody that's missed the timing here with a Cove to evacuate. It's going to be safety in numbers. Backing all the way out of A. Almost expecting that reposition.
Choosing not to try to turn that into an all-out brawl like some teams might. There's that discipline of G2, dropping back in the 5v4. But with their weapons, still 3 players with Sheriffs, it's not yet a clear advantage.
Toxins going up.
Just the first hurdle that's cleared. About 40 seconds.
Look at all the space that Chichu got over towards B very early on. Dodge on those shots. Could have been bad for Simon.
Mid to B setup here. Leaf doesn't have the weapon to try and push this one back here, so should be an open side, but also being committed, and I don't blame them with only 20 seconds. Could be the difference maker. Simon going to be sticking that, going for the plan as well. Thrash doesn't really clear too much as well, but a backstab, no way! Responded and adjusted. Icy just whips it around and rips the head clean off. Out of Reckoning, lockdown, all going to be combined. EDG just trying to stem the bleeding and stop this one before it gets out of hand. Players are weak. G2, they committed a hell of a lot into this round for them to try and lose it. Slide awareness, Smoggy already wrapping this one. Thrash connecting, that's a detainment. And there's still potentially that time on the board to make a go of things. Damage done though. As a casual reminder, and Simon still with that nade in his back pocket. Could play spoiler to absolutely all of this one. It's already gone flying, and Trent is finished. Icy with a defuse, but that's been broken, and already I hear it. Time has just squandered. Gotten away from G2, but the kills. Not away from these EDG players. Edward today is gaming.
G2 did a decent job of that, considering the amount of money that they had. I mean, that tuck into Nest, not cleared properly by EDG because they're contacting in, because they don't want to make it obvious what position on the map they are. There's going to be gaps. So G2 tried to exploit that. But at the end of the day, too little time and too much good post-plant utility. Double nanoswarms on the spike got broken by the shock, but they still had that fragment to work with. G2 get rifles back. Are they going to try something similar again where they go for a piece of aggression? I think doing the same thing on A would be silly, but you know, going for a mid push like this where they triple up does seem like a decent idea. They were threatening flanks like this constantly in their opener against PaperX.
Using the drone now to take that space. I don't see the turret. It does give you access to flank most of the way. Instead, that one's just watching towards the flank because EDG want to go for this 5-player group up. Plant will go down here without too much, again, push back.
This turret position's actually lovely. You look at the position of Jonapi's wall. If the turret was on the left here, it would get blocked off by the Viper wall.
So it's broken. Alerts EDG now to the flank as well with its no command emanating out. Valorant catches the kill onto Kang. Wasn't expecting that one. Looking into the wrong direction. But the first kill does not necessarily mean a round win. Gonna do the rest of the work past that point. Dizzy to clear this one. G2 blinded up, still lands the shot before the eventual trade and holding it tooth and nail in through the back. But G2 finally with those guns in hands put a round on the board.
It's the same flank play that ends up working out for them. It's been a staple of the G2 defensive playbook. They bring it out, and despite the turret realizing that they're out there, they get the round done. Mostly thanks to Valen and what he was able to do to control the post-plant aggression. You watch him take down Kang there, and that's an absolutely vital one. In those kind of spots, the Jet's always going to look to try to get aggressive and open up some space on the other side of the map. So the first attempt to stop the bleed in there from G2. Now they're going to start to get ults online as well, but I'm sure EDG are thinking up a response.
Yeah, that's despite the fact as well that Valen at high seed, they ended up using it into that half by round 6. To no avail. They're almost halfway to him again.
Very true.
Those kills and the diffusers stacking up.
This looks a lot like the same setup as when they pushed Valen into Nest. I think when you push up deep like this and then you get a recon die, you can be pretty certain that EDG are not just going to contact back in.
And they're just full running, full sprinting. Simon with the tap as well.
Trent too far away for the Hunter's Fury.
Yeah.
But he might get it on the next tap.
Walkabout sleep. Has got to put a stop to that one. He will. Alternating the movement, making sure that he stays frosty. Aware of all these possibilities. Chichu is being caught out of position. Hunter's Fury, at least to relieve that pressure, does not do enough. So with Chichu dropped, that's 2 players now down for EDG. Plan going to be committed. Simon gets it, but that's going to be a tag onto him as well. Lit up, and already players fall one after another. It's G2 racking them up. That's 5 alive for a flawless round to get that second round just underneath them.
You see what a difference it makes when G2 anticipate what the round looks like from EDG, what nobody is calling. They had the protocol to flush out both of those lurkers through mid. Great discipline to even think of the second player in that spot. And the fact that they'd pushed out on A, got the recon deep as well, gave them enough peace of mind to know it was a full B hit. They weren't worrying about which direction things were going. The things that were working for EDG early on were when they were quiet and contacting, making it very difficult for G2 to read it. And G2 were playing more passively.
Yeah.
At the moment, this seems like a very good adjustment that came out of the tactical timeout. So EDG are going to try to make one of their own. See what Muggle can do. Haldong, of course, got a lot of experience IGL in this team before in the past.
Yeah, it's an interesting note. I mean, we didn't really talk about it too much when we were covering the EDG game recently, but sometimes a shift up is what you need, honestly, because this EDG team, they felt just, I don't know, knocked down, unable to really get back up, I think, as well after that series of losses to Shanghai. But they make a series of moves, switch it up. Haldong in the assistant coach seat, fresh perspective, I think, especially from a former player, maybe exactly what the team needed.
Yeah, I think I would phrase it as that they had hit their ceiling. They were still performing very well in China, but they'd had one breakout event last year at Tokyo, and they weren't able to replicate that. They weren't able to go further than that. And so at that point, you got to take a risk. It might make you worse, benching Haldong and bringing in Simon and making all of these changes. But if it doesn't, perhaps it's the thing that's going to crack you through that ceiling and bring home a big result for a fan base that is extremely hungry for it. And now they're in a race with the rest of the Chinese teams by the look of things to crack a big result here at Champions.
Yeah. Snipe just unable to get broken early off the rip here that Simon keeps throwing out, so he gets the tag and the information.
But it doesn't push G2 back. G2 still get good information. And this is not A.
Yeah.
Yeah, this usage of the recon dart, stuff like that, it's basically exactly the same round that we just watched. Last time, the wingman got denied by the nanoswarm from Leaf. and then you had ults ready to deny. I could see a very similar round happening here unless EDG have got something different. Well, the shock's a good first thing that's different.
To count the nano swarms. No longer a problem for them. Again, a lot of walking up behind these walls and underhanded flash. Simon wants to make a play for this one. Leaf was tucked though, and there is safety there, but not for the rest of his team. They couldn't quite follow up on all of that, so he's going to get traded. Tag up into the back. Thrash now followed through, straight through onto the side, but broken just before the detainment. Onto the high ground, Kang. He's getting quirky with it in terms of trying to play this spacing and timings as well. He's already flanked straight through, and Icy, yeah, the knife out, just was not expecting it. Deep dart. No to follow off of it. Trent is so damn concerned now. All these players, because Kang is ripping them to shreds, man.
What a great adjustment coming out of the tag timeout. Obviously, great individual play from Kang too, but I gotta give credit to Muggle and Howdong. We were just talking about how good the tag timeout was from G2. EDG hit the panic button and immediately come out with a round that looks exactly the same to the one they just ran, except they flash, they push deep, they trade out Leaf, who had the lockdown, and then they have all of that position for Kang to go nuts in the post plan.
This playstyle of EDG, it is almost hard countering the fact that G2 don't really have a natural. Oh, that's unfortunate.
That's really bad in this patch.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
Yeah, you are not going to have any smoke for mid now. It's a good job that they break the turret, otherwise that would be giving permanent mid info.
Yeah. Well, the point I was just about to get on too is that there's not necessarily a natural op carrier on the G2 side. Something to punish, I think, a lot of this contact play that EDG are going for.
It's a great point. Icy, even when he plays duelist, doesn't pull out the operator too much. He is almost the opposite of Kang in many respects.
Yeah, he definitely is. Not leaning into it. Although Kang's rifling definitely been on the up and up now. A year plus, to be honest. And again, that contact playstyle, just walking all the way up. Shot dart again is good. Dash is active, but it's going to be dissipating. No value to be had. Just walking most of the way up. Another plant down. Shot darts are missing. So there will be no pushback, and there's that extension into round 10 now.
Kang's playing for this, trying to deny the lockdown.
He knows what to play for, just needs some supplemented utility as well. I can hear the footsteps. Lovely sidestep. Just rips to it ahead, clean off G2. Have no chance in hell to keep playing this one. Spam through the box. Leaf is lucky to be alive. He'll be backing all the way away. Needs to be defended here. They want to keep these guns.
This G2 team that's normally so good at shutting down superstar individual players.
They just cannot deal. I mean, cheeky.
They cannot deal with Kang. What we're getting from Kang in this map so far, it's Tokyo.
It really is. It's given Tokyo.
Tokyo.
12-4, top of the scoreboard. Not just for his team, but top of the leaderboard overall.
Yeah, and not just the kills that he's getting, but here, completely denies a lockdown opportunity, completely shuts down G2 trying to trade him out. You know, he's facing two players so often and killing them both. And that's going to win you rounds.
G2 are going to be desperate to salvage up any rounds that they possibly can before they get into that second half here for round 11. At least they do have the Viper's Pit in the back pocket already offloaded. Down through B main, one less thing to worry about. But the money isn't too good. Only a couple of players with a rifle, so you're looking at Icy, Val and Jonah P to do the damage. Drone, get the tag and a break.
Yeah, Simon backs off as Chishu goes forwards. They're hoping that they don't read there was a second player there.
And it's just barely held. Jiggle peaked as well. Chichu almost lucky to be alive. There was a couple of players that quickly were looking to try and put a stop to this one. Trent plugs up the gap in through mid.
A is extraordinarily open, but if they commit to the B split, Jonah P could win the round still.
Allen's dropped. I think that's through the window. Leaf has got a lot to do into this spot as well, but just with the Stinger in hand, close quarter combat, even with him being set up for it, the pit's still up and active, walking around. Icy, he does drop Kang. With the Dizzy broken as well, he knows that there's even more where that come from, and Jonah P's worked his magic! Right from behind, just not expecting that. Level of awareness that went missing there for EDG into this round, and it leaves it to Chichu. One player running and gunning, but time is against him with only 12 seconds to do it all. Him versus Jonah P. The timing should be granted. You need to hit a miracle shot, but Jonah P won't even give him the chance.
That is brilliantly played by Jonah P. He gets out of his pit for a kill over towards Orange, and that makes the rest of EDG think he's still playing on site. He manages to duck back inside his pit.
That kill there.
Yeah, that kill is just so big. He manages to duck back inside his pit, and then they don't realize he's somehow managed to loop-de-loop behind them and picks them both up from behind. He's called the Professor for a reason. And that was locking down B with a Viper's Pit 101. Learn.
Yeah, I take that class. Wouldn't do me much good, but I'd take it.
I think the classes are normally more generalized than that.
Yeah,
it's
that's
extremely
incredibly specific
one.
for an opener.
Yeah.
Egotistical professor. I mean, we've all been there. Not me. Didn't go to university.
I got kicked out.
It's round 12. And there's big ults online for G2 here. Again, going for this re-clear into mid. They've been doing this quite a lot with the drone. Gives them peace of mind in that direction as well. They've got to get a good read, at least, that it's going to be leaning over towards the A side. They do have, again, the ult for the retake.
Yeah, and they're going to
Ideal, Leaf dropped.
Oh, that's huge. No lockdown now available. And Simon, if he pops ult, can deny the reckoning. He's just got to get the timing right here.
You should run.
And locking down one avenue as well. Lockdown's going to be just dropped straight into the center of the site with his flank. They're going to be pushed out into all these extremities, and Smoggy is left to watch most of this one. Ducked, crouched. The peak timing is absolutely everything. And Smoggy delivering death blow after death blow and toying with his food at the end. He knows that he's essentially wrapped this one up. Running around him, not giving Jonah P any easy access. Not to the body. Valen shut out. G2 with a movement. Nice little jiggle. Pit in the face. Jonah P shut down and shut out of the round entirely. This is a 9-3 if I've ever seen one.
And a beautiful half from EDG. I mean, the way that they played around the ults in that final round completely outplayed G2. And then you think back to previous rounds where Kangkang is pushing deep onto screens to deny lockdown. They've just had a phenomenal awareness of how G2 are going to play around ults this whole half. And I'm sure that's going to extend into the next.
Oh, come on.
Trade in any phone in any condition guaranteed and get $800 off the new Galaxy Z Fold 6. Only on Verizon.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Wouldn't be a Valorant global event. I think we've had a few upsets now, early days so far, but with order number 1 Siege just taking a knock, and EDG looking primed and ready to take one of the best maps from G2 for G2 away in the form of Icebox early on with this 9-3 beginning. And my goodness, it's listen, China just one event too late, I think, as well. They probably would have liked to have done this at Shanghai, but they'll take now.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, that's a great question. Would you have preferred to win in China or win champs? I think most people would still say champs.
Oh yeah,
but to be honest, that might be a tough question for some of the Chinese players. But I mean, we're way far away from that. Way far away. But it's difficult not to get sucked up into the hype. Again, EDG, if they're able to close this out, would be looking good to be the best performing #1 seed in the tournament.
Yeah.
Which
what a
is,
world, man. What a world.
Yeah. G2 have got some time to fight back, but they need a pistol here for it to seem even remotely doable.
That's the trouble, is their attack side does look good, but as you mentioned, you need a pistol round to even just get the buffer room to breathe, because EDG win this one, you're looking at 11 on the board, and at that point, it's just, I mean, it takes anything. A swift breeze can potentially take you over the finish line.
This is where nobody absolutely shines. If there was a lurker over on A, he's dead right now. I mean, the risks that he's taking, he's a very feast or famine player.
We do love our nobody.
But nobody over on the A side. It was just guaranteed to his team as the IGL that this is a B hit. They should be able to completely box G2 in here.
They're going to go for a refine, a reclear. It's just a contact swing. Straight up, taking the fights as well. This one could get dangerous, and Dire still winning it potentially out as well. Kang needs some help here over the shoulder as well. Reinforcements have to arrive. He needs some defense, but still, yeah, G2 is right there alongside him. How could I doubt? The 10th round, a pistol round. EDG. Oh, yeah, they've heard all about the upsets.
Looking great there on the pistol. They got the read perfectly that it was on B. Is it a risk to go for a reclear like this when you know that they're 5-stack in B main? Absolutely. I mean, you're opting into a numbers disadvantaged team fight, and yet they still come out on top. They had that element of surprise, dodged the utility beautifully, and their players are popping. I mean, just take a look at the scoreboard here. I've been bigging up Kang. Smoggy was amazing in the game against Foot. Chichu's at the top of the scoreboard. Everything is working right now for EDG.
Right here.
It would be unfathomable that they dropped this map from this point.
It really would.
And that's without taking anything away from how good G2 have looked here. It's just, it looks like EDG's day here on Icebox. Right
there. The read and more firepower hitting. Weapon in the hands of Smoggy. Hearing all this noise. Bullets sent flying. Straight into the back here, no punish though, almost catching onto Smoggy. He's going to get overwhelmed, surely will fall. Drop the gun into the laps of G2, including this plant. Time might get against him as well. It's long rotates on a map like Icebox.
Tucked up position as well from Trent and Valen. Looks like Valen's trying to bait for Trent.
It gets tricky at this point, it gets real tricky. They can be moving in and out as well. They're in the walls, man, they're in the walls, and it's all about collecting the kills when they're at least propped up, and opportunities are presented to you. Kang, not to be denied. It was looking tricky. You can see the health on a few of the players just to the right, especially when they get that plant down. I start to get a little bit worried, but all contained, all maintained in the end.
They are in control of the map. Dashing into
No, I respect that.
That's ridiculous from Kang.
That's ballsy. Oh. Time has paused.
Yeah.
You know what that means? Oh, it's a timeout this time.
Attack timeout from G2. When you call tack timeouts after only the pistol and the follow-up, yeah, I'm worried.
Yeah.
Because what kind of input can you really get from your coaching staff here that you didn't get during the halftime anyway? I understand that EDG are up to 11. Maybe you just want to run through the bonus, figure out what's going on. Maybe overall things are off. Comms, somebody's freezing up on stage, someone's not playing as you would expect them to. But that's the final timeout that G2 have access to. They're 8 rounds behind, and EDG are 2 away from closing things out.
Sorry, no more adjustments. I mean,
I think Josh might have a chance to talk to his team in just a couple of rounds' time, to be honest.
Definitely
face to face.
At least the turnaround mentalities. But maybe just throwing out a set strat, an idea, anything to counteract this momentum that EDG have right now. And I mean, they're going to be going into it with bonus round weaponry. A couple of the players didn't invest. They might be able to buy for the next. I mean, Kang might even just be choosing to make sure he can save up for an operator.
It's very unusual the way that this map has played out, not just because it's a map that G2 are great at and EDG have looked a bit rough on in China, but also because G2 have all year been excellent at shutting down individuals that meet them one by one and get double kills, get multi-kills on them. They are very, very good at trading that out. We have seen so many multi-kills so far in this map. Huge ones, massive impact. And this looks like a scrap on B.
In their face. Start to try and get your way past this one here with a Dizzy getting that acknowledgement. G2 send a couple of bullets through. Do collect the one. Drone as well on top of it. Kang has to respect that. So we will back away. Chi-Chu. Free exploration. Underhand with the flash as well. Right from behind. That is sublime, man. EDG just cooking in the moment. And they brought it to that 3 versus 3. Simon up close onto the corner. We'll have to give that one up. Backs himself away here, but they know that G2's there. They want to refight it as well. These timings they're taking almost to perfection once more. A stop to anything that G2 are trying to go for here. 50 seconds left into the round. Could call for the pause, but your Viper's down and out. Can't even wall up and just try and fake like you could be rotating. Faking like you could be walking up. Valorant hard committed. Bodies and shoulders peeking out wide. In the danger zone here, though. Chi-Chu just overcommitting here, and Valorant's the one to at least put a stop to all of that nonsense.
30 seconds left.
Simon now. Last one left. First one's good. 2 more players to deal with. It was just a slight tap as well, and doubled up side by side, jumping around the corner to set this one up. Simon, a wonderful job to try and isolate these fights out, but only 2 bullets left to work with. Before he has to commit to the reload, and with the wide swing in the face, that bullet just will not land. G2 get to stay and compete, at least on Icebox, for a little bit longer.
First time, actually, that we've seen EDG go for one of those defensive reclears or like a piece of aggression that is, I think, risky. We've talked about it being risky in previous rounds, but this is the first time that they lose it. Normally, they've still been winning out these situations, even when they take fights out in the open, trying to force the tempo up against G2. They would have to take risks like that and lose it so much more, though, for this map to become even close.
Not again!
Well, I mean, that's just 1 for 1, isn't it? Smoggy did it.
No way.
Why not for Jonah P?
Brutal.
See, the thing is, people are going to say that Jonah P's rattled in that situation, even though Smoggy did it earlier, and you know, he
when they were dominating,
massively leading.
Oh, yeah.
Not everything's fodder for the armchair analysts, but
it is for me. Ready to pick it apart. What 2,000 years of Roman war can teach you. This Kang is hyper committed. He's got nobody alongside him here. The Z connects though. They should know he's up top, and the dash will not save you. Nobody. Again, seeking to at least potentially get a few more kills. All for naught. 2 of them dropping. Drone as well. Simon was seeking a timing, but now he is just fully committed once more into the corner. Chi-Chu responds, vacuuming up that space, but he's traded in that discipline, rearing his head to G2. He was singing the praises, expecting that level of play from them. It will grant them at least a round winner. It looks towards it. I mean, there's no real chances for Smoggy in this spot.
There shouldn't be an opening. And I do like that you highlighted that discipline, because you could see that spacing super, super tight.
There it is.
Beautiful as well, again there,
yeah.
As Trent swings, freezing that player in spot so that Jonah P can get the backstab. G2 were trying to do these things earlier on, and the individualism from EDG was shutting them down. They were also slightly off, just ever so slightly, in terms of those multiple swings and timings. I mean, there's a pretty big difference between getting 2 players, one trying to trade, and Simon there getting swung with 4 at once.
I heard the crowd go, oh.
Shh, keep it down.
Oh.
I mean, you can't ask the crowd not to react when you bungle something at the beginning of the round, man. They're just going to do that.
That's funny.
That
EDG.
is funny.
Lighter weaponry here. Went for an attempt. Nobody will not give up this space either. In fact, the rest of EDG alongside him. Very pushed up through A main. Looking for a play. With the peak though. Turret did not get broken.
Yeah, both turrets actually staying alive throughout this round. The weaponry doesn't really seem good enough here, but if Chi-Chu can bait so that they don't think about Smoggy.
And also, I mean, EDG have got the hardest read in the world, of course, with Kang getting all this space. Now he does get dropped here, but a pop flash play. Already going to be going live and active into it. Phantoms in hand. Jonah P will offset most of it.
Yeah, amazing from Jonah P again. There are a lot of threats in that round that EDG throw out. I mean, obviously there's Kang on the flank, which Leaf shuts down, but like I said, that duo play between either Chi-Chu and Simon, and then trying to set up Smoggy, who had the stinger. Jonah just swings kind of behind a few of the rest of his pack and takes them both down. He's anti-flash. Deals with them really nicely there. But Valen did use Reckoning. So they're not saving big ultimates for big moments. They used the Thrash when they were in a 5v3. They used the Reckoning on an anti-eco. They're not feeling comfortable enough here, G2, to save the ults for when it matters. And right now, this round really matters.
I can't blame them. EDG are up to 11, but you are right. Sometimes you have to take flight. Stretch whatever resources you have. Really quite thin. Drone. Tags onto the one with a Dizzy as well, so nobody knows that there's two players here. Despite that fact, he's not backing away. Wants to take the up-close angle.
These are the kind of moments where it worries me that nobody is playing aggressively like this because, again, you're 5 rounds up. You actually don't need to take these kind of risks. But maybe a risk like this will end up putting them over the line.
Just the feed waiting to happen, Trent. Okay, drone's going to be used as well, so nobody will get the hell out of there. Lockdown's going to be used as a response to this. EDG going to be...
They have Sovereign.
Yeah, there's a Sovereign to break this one, so... Someone to break that past as well. Plant down from Icy with the wingman dropped, so at least getting themselves into the post plant. They've got plenty more util where that came from as well.
Look at Jonah P out here on B, by the way.
He's going to be trying to wrap this one while nobody's way ahead of the rest of his team as well. So with him drop, first kill advantage gone away. And honestly, the fight might just be over before Jonah P even gets into the fray. Icy. 3 on the board, there's 2 plays left to stand. You know the maths. Adds up to potentially an ace, but not anymore. Jonah P.
My ultimate is ready.
Finally strikes right from behind there, so all the timing's taken. And Icy's just running his body in. Bait on the end of a stick.
Jonah P got up to the Viper's Pit, and Icy's not too far away from Thrash now as well after he popped off in that round. He's only 1 away. So after my criticism of how G2 were using their ults, they've actually just managed to win an incredibly crucial round, fairly dry, to get the ult cycle working again. And as much as we were talking about, EDG massively in the lead,
weird play this round.
EDG are going to take a tag timeout, and you hear Trent already calling it out there. He's expecting something unusual. Something that's going to knock G2 off their game to push them over the edge. I could absolutely see that. I mean, Kangkang also has Blade Storm.
Yeah.
If there was going to be any round where Kangkang's going to dig a tunnel and pop up behind you or something, some kind of weird thing that Haodong's cooked up.
Yep, certainly.
It would be this one. Yeah, but what I was going to say was G2 are actually starting to make this look reasonable. The gap's down to 4. They've just won 4 in a row. And we're starting to see Valen really heat up with his attack side call and getting a nice read on what's happening in the game. So,
how many rounds does G2 need before you start to become a bit of a believer?
Only 1 more rifle round.
1 more rifle round?
Yeah,
so if they
absolutely.
If they
win this and win the next rifle round, it's 11-9. Probably EDG have used a lot of their ults, and then it's insanely, it is game on at that point. Obviously, 2 more rounds is not the easiest thing in the world for G2 to be able to string together. That would be 6 in a row. But let's keep our focus in the here and now, because Trent was expecting something silly, something weird.
About to find out if EDG have been cooking with it. As you mentioned, there's a Blade Storm here in the mix for Kangkang. Gonna be holding on to this one. The defensive setup, though, hasn't really shifted that much. I mean, EDG not going for any stacks onto various sites here, just going for the same old, same old. It's just nobody playing over towards A, mid, knocked down by Chichu.
They're keeping a very confident read that G2 do not go A early on. You see that the A site is pretty open almost all the time. It's only nobody holding towards there. This looks like very specific prep they've done against G2 and Icebox.
Yeah.
And thus far it's been all right, but G2 have done great with the space that they've taken on A. They're so patient here, G2, waiting for that aggression, but EDG also matching them bar for bar with the patience.
Yeah, right down to that minute mark. And through mid, Chichu wants to take the peak. Why committal? No heads to be popped.
You can't allow the time to run too low here if you're Valen, because nobody has that Hunter's Fury.
Seeing that pressure as well, might be calling for a few bodies moving over towards them. Not too much shift, though, occurring. In fact, EDG are kind of scattered to the wind right now. In fact, making the rotations over towards A. And here's the danger zone that you were talking about right now, Josh. Nobody.
I think play off site here, play for your ult.
Yeah, but he's not intending to do that one. I see what the plans. Already 7-4s need to be defended. It's not. And already broken. Nobody in Chichu. They strike from the sides to pin to play. Double pronged in the approach. And guess what? It's worked out fully in the favor. The flash repeat again in the refight here with the rifles. They've got to try and sail their way
through this course, but already it's tumultuous indeed. Time running them down, and a thrifty win to get EDG up to that 12.
G2 were ready for it. G2 knew it was coming, and yet they still could not stop it. Ran perfectly into that read. EDG had 4 players rotating over to the A side, only Kong on the other side of the map, before the plant was even anywhere near ready to go down. The patience from G2 ended up being their worst enemy there. Time was not on their side. And now, whereas it looked like those 4 in a row were going to set a comeback on the path for G2, suddenly EDG won away.
As I said earlier as well, it's the case when you get up to that 11th, you know, all it takes is one thrifty and a swift breeze to knock you over the finish line here for EDG, because just need that one, the pressure is on the shoulders of G2 right now. Once more, playing it slow initially here, but now waiting it out and taking a main control. They have ults to use and expend, but EDG are ready for this one. There's a knife held into the hand as well with the drone, and to the thrash is going to be cancelled almost immediately. And nobody, he's right in their faces, a flash and an overhead. Simon is swinging wildly into them and still returns with 2. Just before that trade comes up, with 2 left to stand from G2 themselves. Dizzy, drone, I believe, spotting both. This is a disaster for G2 here. Individual is going to have to bail them out of this spot. 50 seconds, you can afford to slow it all the way down to a crawl if you want to, but couldn't have asked for a better beginning to the round here for EDG.
No, they're looking good for it. Nobody tucking himself into Generator. Is this a spot that G2 can even afford to clear? This setup looks nice from Nobody and Chishu.
It's a crossfire. That though, that's not broken. Trent though, he's going to be dropped and damage done straight through the wall. Wingman broken once more. Icy. Decay down, a tap, forcing them forwards into the fight as well. Needs to try and isolate some of these fights. Done so, 1v1, all to survive. Icy has only gone and done it.
It's survival. That's what that means for G2. My God, did it take everything from them. EDG's setup looked really solid on site there. They've been breaking these wingmans very consistently when they've been coming into A. Thrash was irretrievable. Didn't make a difference in the round at all, and yet IC didn't need it. Great kills towards the end, and fantastic fake plants for him to be able to get up into a position to win that.
You can't argue with that.
Leaf is picking up an attack side op to try to make something happen. 4 chances remain for EDG to close.
Kang himself wants to go with things. Dash was activated off the back of that util. It's going to be fading away though. Still an aggressive off angle that he's committed to. And Chichu going re-exploring into mid. He hasn't been punished for these peeks onto the turret up until now.
Did he get a spot to know that Leaf is playing with an attack side op as well? No idea. Nobody looks like he wants to take another swing at this. They still have the turret up for mid information, but they're so hungry for it.
Yeah. Difficulties here for ED, or for G2 I should say, is don't want to be running into the same problems that opened you up for the thrifty loss earlier.
Absolutely.
EDG up to 12, with time becoming an issue once more potentially. Drone up and over, the nice is dodged, only tagging onto the 1 as well. Might be a bit of that false information. Oh, underhanded Simon is eager for the scrap. Does come up with the 1. Is he going to be into his face as well? Plenty of targets up and over. Jonah P just did not know which way to adjust. And this is it, surely. The impetus to take away this map. Nanoswarm's at your feet, Detted, ready and waiting. Trent is spotted, taken out, swinging wide. Simon denied, but not enough to deny. I see that one still. 13-8 for the finish. EDG, they get it over that finish line. An Icebox is theirs.
An incredible map to open things up in this series. EDG want the win. They've taken a massive scalp there by taking Icebox away, and it's their brand new player Simon that closes things out.
Phenomenal stuff from EDG all throughout the map as well. Absolutely deserved. And now it's shaky ground and territory as we look forwards to Haven. Map 2 for G2.
From dusk till dawn, I'm a loose sleep. I ain't trying to live broke like you be. I'll be coming for the bag, I do me. Will I get paid? Absolutely. Cause you better knew a boss like Takeoff. I ain't left all bad and bougie. Heard them talk, they barely know me. I ain't let no stranger fool me. When I came in the game, y'all showing that fake love. I ain't look past your jewelry. Let it ride, it's foreign. Every whip I drive imported. Anybody know me, they know. For this game, no, I'm dying for it. I'm on now. Give me that crown, yeah. Ain't nobody out here really wanting me. I'm going hard while you falling asleep. I got it all cause I deserve it all, y'all. Just being honest, they don't wanna see me honest. I'm taking over this game.